The smell of fresh chlorine and the warm summer breeze should have been signs of peace. Instead, they became the backdrop to one of the most ridiculous, infuriating, and strangely satisfying battles I've ever experienced. Picture this: a woman in her 50s, flailing in my backyard pool like a startled cat tossed into a bathtub. Her face was bright red, her perfectly styled hair plastered to her cheeks, and she looked utterly humiliated. That woman was Karen Williams, president of our HOA, and seeing her scramble out of my pool, sputtering, soaked, and defeated, wasn't just entertaining, it was justice. But to understand why it felt so damn good, we need to go back to how it all started. 2 years ago, I bought a quiet suburban house on the edge of a gated community. Nothing extravagant, just a peaceful home with a backyard big enough for the dream I'd been saving for: a private pool. After years of grinding through a high-pressure job, this was my reward. I worked overtime, skipped vacations, and finally had the cash to turn the backyard into an oasis. A pool with mood lighting, bamboo screens for privacy, a lounge area, and soft music echoing through hidden speakers. It was my sanctuary. Then came Karen. I'd heard whispers about her before, how she liked to control things in the neighborhood, how no decision escaped her notice. Still, I paid my HOA dues, and kept to myself. I wasn't looking for trouble. The first time she showed up, I came home early from work to find a towel draped over one of my loungers. Karen was floating lazily in my pool like she owned the place. No warning, no invitation, just casually trespassing. "What are you doing in my pool?" I asked, stunned. Karen pushed her sunglasses up to her forehead. "Oh, I'm just doing a standard inspection." "Inspection of what?" "My pool?" "Yes," she said matter-of-factly. "As president of the HOA, I need to ensure all backyard amenities are safe and aligned with community guidelines. Don't worry, it's nothing personal." It took me a second to process. She spoke with such arrogance, such conviction, that for a moment I almost questioned whether she really had that authority. But she didn't. I later double-checked our HOA agreement and neighborhood bylaws. Nowhere did it say the president had the right to enter private property for inspections. In fact, it explicitly stated that private amenities were outside HOA jurisdiction unless visible from the street or affecting property values. I filed a complaint. The HOA board, however, was little more than a fan club for Karen. Every vote went her way. Every complaint vanished into a black hole. I tried talking to neighbors, but most were either too scared or too exhausted to get involved, and it only got worse. Over the next month, I found evidence she'd been using my pool while I was away. Towels moved, floaties shifted, chlorine levels tampered with. One time, she even left behind an empty wine cooler bottle. I installed cameras not to catch a criminal, but to catch a queen bee drunk on her own power. Then came the breaking point. I confronted her one last time after finding her mid-swim. "You can't just walk into someone's backyard and use their pool," she smiled. "I can when it's for community safety. That's not how any of this works. This is private property." Her smirk didn't fade. "If you want to challenge me, go ahead. But I've been doing this longer than you've lived here." I realized I wasn't going to win this battle through traditional means. I had to beat her at her own game without breaking a single rule. So, I came up with a plan. I upgraded my pool with smart home integrations, remote heating, sensor-based alerts, and high-res cameras linked to my phone. But the real trick: I started keeping the pool heated to a ridiculous 98°F during work hours. You might think that sounds pleasant, but when it's already 90°F outside, 98°F in the water turns the pool into a boiling bathtub. Anyone jumping in expecting relief got discomfort instead. Then I waited. It didn't take long. One Tuesday around 1:45 p.m., I got a motion alert on my phone. I pulled up the camera feed. There she was, Karen, entering through the back gate, which I had foolishly left unlocked that day. Towel over her arm, phone in one hand, testing strip in the other. She dipped the strip in the water, nodded in approval, then slid in. What happened next was glorious. Within 30 seconds, her expression shifted from bliss to discomfort. She splashed a little, clearly trying to adjust. Then she stood up, visibly flushed and disoriented. The heat was getting to her. She tried to play it cool, reclining on a floaty, but after another minute, she scrambled to toss. She'd just realized she'd been poaching herself. I watched the whole thing from my office. She stumbled to grab her towel, slipped slightly on the wet deck, cursed under her breath, and stormed off, but not before glaring directly at one of my cameras. She knew, and she hated it. The next day, I received a formal HOA notice claiming I had violated the shared amenity accessibility standards. That would have been funny if it weren't infuriating. So I replied with timestamps, security footage, and an annotated copy of the HOA bylaws. I CC'd every homeowner on the street. Within hours, I had 3 supportive messages, then 10. Then someone started a group chat. Turns out Karen had been doing similar inspections for years, using other people's grills, fire pits, and even trampolines to check for safety. We organized a community meeting. For the first time in 6 years, Karen was outvoted and removed as president. Now, pool is mine again. Peaceful, private, and perfectly warm. Just not scalding anymore. But every time I turn on the heater, I smile, because I remember the look on Karen's face when she realized she wasn't untouchable anymore. She was just another neighbor, one who finally got wet with the truth. If you enjoyed watching Karen get cooked in her own entitled soup, make sure to hit that subscribe button. This isn't just a pool story, it's a front row seat to suburban justice. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next time a neighborhood tyrant gets served, preferably in 98.